Hi everyone, Jackie Fleischman here from Jackie F. Coaching, your corporate confidence coach. I work with professionals to power up their negotiation skills, navigate conflict, and work through really challenging or tough interpersonal dynamics as they come up in your career or in your line of work. I post one video a week where I share some tips, tactics, and strategies, and this week's video is about working with difficult people. So working with difficult people and navigating tough personalities is probably the most common challenge people face in their professional careers and daily life in the workplace. So what does this look like? Well, all of us have some familiarity with a difficult personality or difficulty dealing with certain people at work can come up, and we can encounter it when we come across angry, aggressive, or abrasive behavior. Sometimes it shows up in the form of manipulation, where somebody tries to manipulate a person, a superior, a boss, a principal, or manipulate a situation to their advantage. They can see the negative in everything. Maybe that's the kind of personality you're dealing with. Maybe they're just downright uncooperative, or maybe this person or group of people has no regard for other people's opinions and input. I'm sure that I missed a few. These are just examples. But working with difficult people is always something we know when we come across it. So we tend to dismiss difficult people as irrational and crazy. But this only serves to simplify the situation. And there's always the possibility that what's irrational and crazy for one person, for me, is totally normal and sane for you. So in other words, difficult is subjective, and frankly, it's uniquely personal. So at some level, when we're dealing with difficult people or difficult personalities, we have to start developing an innate understanding of our own personality so that we can determine our triggers, what causes us irritation, and these emotional reactions that we have, so that we can start putting them in check and avoid getting onto a collision course with someone else. When we are interacting with difficult people, what we're really experiencing is significantly differing worldviews on an issue or a problem or something we're trying to solve. And the difficulty lies less with the disagreement and more with the person's style, demeanor, and conduct. And a lot of times we forget that. We get so caught up in what we're arguing about, the actual subject matter, that sometimes it's more stylistic. In his book, The Art and Science of Dealing with Difficult People, David Brown highlights 6 different personality traits and styles that cause frustration and irritation when you're working together. And I'll post the resource at the bottom of the video in case you guys want to look it up. But just for purposes of this video today, I'm going to list the 6 personalities. So number 1, perfectionists. They are focused on details and what some perceive as minutia. Perfectionists have a difficult time acting swiftly. I've actually worked with perfectionists where you can never give them enough information. They always want more, and you can never really get to take action on the initiative you're working on, and it can be a source of frustration. Particularly when time is of the essence, perfectionists can hold things up and really cause a lot of anxiety around the table. It never seems to be good enough, or it's never all there. And in the world we live in today, everything changes and there's always more and more information to be added to something. After perfectionists, you have your control freaks. These are often micromanagers. Delegating tasks can be challenging for this personality type. When you want to do things your way, they can be overly controlling types and can be a source of irritation for you. You may recognize this person in your own line of work. Creative people can be a source of frustration, particularly for financial people. Creatives excel at generating ideas, but they can cause frustration when there is a need to deliver simple results or results that stay on track with a financial or regulatory issue. Shapers. These are highly motivated and very high achievement focused people. These personalities want to get things done as quickly as possible. They tend to be competitive and assertive, and they can be a source of exasperation for others. A lot of people don't like working with shapers, with people with these personality traits, particularly because they're very assertive. Then we have aggressive and defensive people. Assertion can help move a group forward. Aggression or defensiveness can have the opposite effect on a group dynamic. And we also have submissive types, submissive personalities, where a lack of confidence or fear of failure can create avoidance and can be a source of frustration because, again, there's an inability to want to move forward with an initiative or a deal because of the fear of moving ahead. We are going to go through 6 tactics that you can try when you are working with difficult personalities that are fundamentally opposite to yours in a board initiative that you're presenting or a negotiation or a deal that you're working on. So number 1 tactic, this may work for you, put on your poker face. Develop your own personal strategies to keep emotions in check and avoid knee-jerk reactions that may see you get angry, aggravated, or annoyed. You really don't want to display any emotion. You want to try to catch yourself before you engage in a regrettable reaction that you can't take back. Excuse yourself from the room or suggest that everybody take a timeout. Go and have your reaction or blow out your frustration privately or in a place where nobody can see. But while you're sitting with people at the table, you really want to keep your emotions in check and wear your poker face. Number 2, you want to try to build rapport, and this can be very challenging with a difficult personality. Despite differences in approach, style, or demeanor, it's important to make an effort to understand where the other person is coming from. You really want to ask questions with genuine concern and curiosity. Responses to questions can be telling, so listen carefully for ways to create common ground. It's important to try to build some kind of bridge with a difficult personality, particularly when you're in a situation where you have to work together. 3, another thing you might try is reframing demands or requests. This is particularly useful if you're dealing with somebody that's aggressive in nature. In a negotiation, a difficult personality often makes requests or demands that we view as unreasonable. However, there could be reasons that aren't apparent driving these demands or these requests. You never know. It could be invisible to you. Therefore, instead of staking a fixed position and escalating the situation, I would take the demand or request in another light. I would look at it in another light, and I would really try to find an alternative approach or completely reframe it in a different context, or try to get to the root of it by taking out the aggressive side of the demand and looking at it in a more productive way. Number 4, you want to learn how to bridge differences, or at least attempt to bridge differences. Building rapport, which we talked about in point number 2, also allows us to determine how far apart our goals and objectives are from one another. So you want to be gracious in recognizing this and use it to your advantage by allowing the other side to prevail on some matters. It really helps break the ice, and it can really help the difficult personality relax a bit more in the context of dialoguing with you. Small wins, do not underestimate them. They can have tremendously positive consequences, and they can really reestablish momentum. Number 5, you want to work towards reducing the pressure. It takes time and patience to work with personalities that have a different approach and style to you, particularly when you're not seeing eye to eye. So allowing for extra time affords perspective, and can prevent participants from responding against their own interests. Time is your friend. Even though time is of the essence in a deal, there's an appropriate amount of it that can be allocated towards building these bridges, taking the pressure off, trying to reduce the anxiety around the table. You have to use time strategically. And that's really what we're talking about, especially if you're dealing with a difficult personality. And finally, number 6, alternatives and consequences. Sometimes educating the difficult person or difficult personality about possible alternatives and consequences can persuade them to adopt another solution. Now, number 6 is difficult and it doesn't always work, but what it will do is it buys you some time because you're dialoguing with them, and you're dialoguing with them, so whenever you dialogue with somebody, it affords you the opportunity to build the bridges and try to find common ground on some point, or maybe create additional value somewhere. So you may not be successful in finding an alternative, but you'll certainly, one thing that usually comes out when you're having this discussion is why this particular demand or request or whatever it is they're being difficult about is so important to them. Depending on the situation, these 6 tactics can be used alone or in combination with one another, regardless of how you implement them. These tactics are designed to exercise emotional discipline while using different approaches to work towards a common goal. I'm Jackie Fleischman. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoy these videos. Please subscribe if you do. And for more information, please visit my website at www.jackiefcoaching.com. And remember, confidence over conflict always. Take care, everyone.